Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Defining Your Terms number 2, Intolerance. Now, intolerance gets a really bad rap because you'll hear a lot of people say, well, I don't want to be tolerated. I don't want to be tolerated. Well, let's just slow down and let's look at what the word really means. Because understand, words have no meaning because they have so many meanings. There's the definition that we would find in dictionaries and things like this, and then there's the connotation. So again, don't put any program in place without defining your terms. So let's go to some dictionary definitions of the word intolerance. From Google Dictionary, it says, basically someone who is not tolerant of views, beliefs, or behavior that differ from one's own. Well, that's Archie Bunker, right? How about from dictionary.com? Not tolerating or respecting beliefs or opinions different from one's own. Or how about Oxford Dictionary? Let's see what the Brits think. Not tolerant of views, beliefs, or behaviors that differ from one's own. And then let's take a look at Macmillan Dictionary. Not willing to accept behavior, beliefs, or opinions that differ from your own. And then let's take another look here. You starting to see a theme here? Collins Dictionary, lacking respect for practices and beliefs other than one's own. And of course, vocabulary.com, unwillingness to recognize and respect differences in opinions or beliefs. There is nothing in any of those definitions that say, I'm going to tolerate you, or I'm something like this. It's not gritting your teeth. So let's look at definitions here in real English. What do you think of when I say diversity or tolerance? Well, we already talked in our first podcast about diversity. Anything that makes you different, that's diversity. The way you look, the way you sound, the way you think. Republicans and Democrats and Green Party members, whatever. That's diversity. Now, just hint right here. You are always going to have diversity. It might not be of color, it might not be of religion, but if you put 4 or 5 people in a room together, chances are really good they're going to differ on some opinion. You will always have some degree of diversity. Here's the problem. How are these people going to treat each other? How are you going to treat people who disagree with you or look different than you? And let me just clue you in here. I love the term tolerance. I get a lot of heat for this because this is the lowest standard I can think of. There is nothing that I've come up with that is lower. And if you think of anything that's lower, please, I beg you, let me know. Here's what tolerance is, and this is the definition I would put into your organization. Not persecuting people who are different. That's it. That's it. I'm not going to persecute someone who is different. I'm not going to persecute you because you're black. I'm not going to persecute you because you're Muslim. I'm not going to persecute you because you're a Christian fundamentalist. I'm not going to persecute you because you are a Second Amendment fan and love the idea of having every gun that is made under the sun. That's your right to believe that. I'm not going to persecute you because you differ on my opinion on abortion. I'll tell you right there, we can't even hit that. We can't even hit that. But that's something you can define. So when someone is intolerant in your organization, I can point to it, I can define it, and I can call you out on it. And also just think about tolerance and diversity for just a moment. If we truly were tolerant people, which means I'm not going to persecute you because you're different, there would be no need for affirmative action. There would be no need to start looking at harassment, discrimination issues. Why? Because I'm going to hire the best person. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair. I don't care if you are white. I don't care if you're black. I don't care what your religion is. I'm not going to persecute you because you're different. If we could hit that, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission would have to go and do something different. There would be no discrimination claims. There would be no harassment claims. Now, some people might see it in spite of maybe no harassment or discrimination, but you get the idea. I'm not going to persecute you because you're different. I'm going to hire the best people. I'm going to promote the best people. I'm going to transfer the best people. That's all that's going to matter. I'm not going to worry about all of these other differences that don't matter. Now, let's look at a great example, the difference between diversity and tolerance. I will ask my classes, people that come to my seminars, is it good to have older people and younger people working together? And I'll always hear them say, oh yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Wonderful. And I'll ask, what do older people bring? And of course, the older people speak right up because, they don't want to get downsized and outsized and all that kind of stuff. They, want to work some more. They'll say something like experience, been there, done that, right? And absolutely, experience is worth gold, okay? 10, 20, 30 years of experience means somebody has made 10, 20, 30 years of mistakes. And they're probably not going to do that again. Great. What do younger people bring? And I'll hear energy, new ideas, technology. Oh, absolutely. So let me get this straight. It's good to have both of these folks working together in the workplace. And I will hear overwhelmingly, oh yeah, it's great. Let's get all these people together. And then I will stop and ask, really? Really? That is a pure diversity issue that everybody on the planet will have to deal with. Do you really think that it's going to be good when that older person tells that younger, pompous MBA graduate that he's wrong? What do you think's going to happen? Oh, I'm going to persecute you all over the place. I'm going to get you. How dare you disagree with me? And what's going to happen when that younger person disagrees with that older person who knows everything? What's going to happen? Oh, fireworks. Fireworks. I'll tell you right now, diversity is something you always will have. Whether you want it or not, you're going to have diversity. Tolerance is basically saying, I'm not going to persecute you because you're different. And again, that's the lowest standard that I can think of, and we can't hit that. It's very definable, but I'll tell you, every organization that I work with, we've got problems because, now oftentimes that's why I'm there, we've got problems because someone is a pompous, emotional child and you don't dare disagree with them. How dare you disagree with me? And I'll tell you, the higher you go, the more degrees you get, the more intolerant we become. You show me someone that you cannot disagree with, I will show you an emotional child. Now, tolerance is not acceptance. And I get a lot of heat over this, but just bear with me here. I hear a lot of folks say, well, I don't want to be tolerated. Well, understand, you're not following the definition. And if you look it up in most any dictionary, it doesn't say that. And if you look at my definition, which is pretty much a nice, succinct little package of all those dictionary definitions, I'm not going to persecute you because you're different. I got a right to tell employees how to behave. I don't have a right to tell you how to think. Now, think about acceptance. I had a situation with one of my clients a few years ago, and they got nailed by the EEOC, just nailed. They had been discriminating and harassing and things like this. Well, I tell you, when you get struck by lightning, you get religion. And they got religion in a big hurry. So they put this diversity program in place, and they actually had everybody in the organization sign, as a condition of employment, sign this paper that said that they are going to be accepting of everybody's differences. Well, that sounds really good, doesn't it? I'm going to be accepting. Except we had about 6 guys who were Muslim, and they refused to sign it. And the company told them, hey, either you sign this or you're fired. And they said no. Well, it's at this point that I got a call from my client. So I went in, did my usual thing, sat down, and asked them, hey, what's the problem here? Why don't you want to sign this? Interesting answer that they gave me. They said, look, this paper here says that we are going to be accepting of anybody who's different. Well, that includes homosexuals. And that is a mortal sin in Islam. And if you're familiar, Islam is one of the only major religions that I know of where there's no leeway with homosexuality. There are Christian sects that allow homosexuality. There are Jewish sects that allow homosexuality. There is no sect of Islam that allows homosexuality. And if you engage in homosexual acts, or if you basically condone those acts, you're going to hell. All right, so these 6 guys are telling me, look, if we sign this piece of paper, we're going to go to hell. And I came back and said, well, if you don't sign it, they're going to fire you. Well, that's a heck of a decision, isn't it? What a catch-22, right? You sign the paper, you go to hell. You don't sign the paper, you get fired. Well, I personally hear hell is bad. Okay, you want to stay out of there. That's bad. So, but you see where they're coming from? You're telling us how to think. You're telling me how to believe. You're telling me something to think that's in contradiction. It's a contradiction to my religion. So I said, well, what if we changed it? What if we said that you are not going to persecute anyone because they're different? You can disagree with them, but you can't persecute them. And all 6 of them said, well, yeah, we'll sign that. Actually, a lot of our friends that work here are gay, but we can't sign something that's going to violate our religious beliefs. That is the fundamental difference between tolerance and acceptance. Does an employer have a right to tell you what to believe? And I think the answer to that is no. You want to be a Democrat, you want to be a Republican, you want to be an atheist, you want to be a Christian. You believe what you want to believe. Actually, if you want to hate people, let's say that there is a group of people that I hate. I hate them. And so what I tell these employees is, will you go home and you go into your backyard or in the privacy of your home and you sit there with a keg of beer and you just sit there and think about these people you hate. Just hate. Just hate them all over the place. But when you go out in public, you are not going to persecute them because they're different. I don't have a right to tell you what to believe. But I got every right and every obligation to tell you how to behave. That's the difference between tolerance and acceptance. If somebody wants to be accepting and they learn about somebody else and they are accepting, wonderful. That's fantastic. I like that. But I don't have a right to tell you that. An employer has a right to tell people how to behave. Yeah, think about this. I love it when I hear these folks say, well, I want you to be accepting. How? How can you require your employees to be accepting of others when we can't even control their behavior? We can't even hit tolerance. Tolerance is the lowest standard that I can think of, and we can't hit that. How are you going to make sure that all of your people are accepting? You can't. Tolerance is the lowest standard we've got, and that's what I recommend you go with. Well, thank you for taking the time to go through this program with me. If you want more information on these types of topics, please feel free to go to my website at scottwarwick.com or shoot me an email at scott@scottwarwick.com.